First contact gone wrong. The harvester ships appeared without warning. Massive crystalline structures that darkened Earth's skies, their arrival marked humanity's first contact with alien life, and nearly our last. They came not in peace, but in hunger. Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the United Earth Defense Command Center, watching as the alien vessels positioned themselves around Earth's orbit. The room hummed with tension as tactical displays showed more ships emerging from fold space every hour. Their designs were organic, almost beautiful, if not for the horror they represented. "Final count is in," Lieutenant Rodriguez reported, his voice steady despite the fear evident in his eyes. 712 vessels, each approximately the size of Manhattan. Energy readings are off the charts. Sarah's jaw clenched. Humanity's combined space fleet consisted of barely 50 vessels, mostly designed for near-Earth operations and Mars colonization. They might as well have been throwing rocks at a tsunami. The first transmission from the harvesters came in their own language, but their universal translator quickly decoded it. "Your biomass will serve the greater purpose. Resistance is inefficient." What followed was 3 days of desperate negotiation attempts. The harvesters, it turned out, were a nomadic species that had evolved beyond physical form. They sustained themselves by converting entire civilizations into energy, absorbing their knowledge and experiences in the process. They viewed it as a form of elevation, a gift, even. To them, resistance wasn't just futile, it was illogical. Humanity's response came not from the politicians or diplomats, but from Dr. James Okonjo, head of theoretical physics at the African Space Initiative. During an emergency global conference, he presented an idea so ambitious it bordered on madness. "They expect us to fight with ships," he said, his hologram flickering before the assembled world leaders. "But what if we could turn our greatest weakness, our attachment to Earth itself, into our greatest strength?" The room erupted in murmurs as Dr. Okonjo displayed his preliminary calculations. "The harvesters have given us 3 months to prepare for ascension. They believe we're preparing for a peaceful surrender. Instead, I propose we use that time to initiate Project Gaia." Sarah leaned forward as the physicist outlined his plan. It was impossible, insane. It violated several laws of physics, but as she studied the mathematics, a spark of hope ignited in her chest. "You want to turn Earth itself into a spaceship." The Chinese premier's voice carried equal parts skepticism and wonder. "Not just Earth," Dr. Okonjo replied. "We'll need to convert Mars and Venus as well if we want to survive. The harvesters aren't just a fleet. They're an extinction-level event. To fight them, we need to think bigger. Much bigger." The next week saw the largest mobilization in human history. Every factory, laboratory, and research facility on Earth pivoted to support Project Gaia. The harvesters, true to their word, waited patiently, interpreting the frenetic activity as preparation for their gift. Sarah was appointed as the military coordinator for the project, working directly with Dr. Okonjo's team. The plan seemed simple on paper: install massive gravity drives at Earth's core, develop a planetary shield system, and create weapons capable of channeling the planet's magnetic field into devastating attacks. The reality was far more complex. The engineering challenges alone were astronomical. How do you install engines in a planet's core without disrupting its magnetic field? How do you maintain atmosphere during faster-than-light travel? How do you power systems on a planetary scale? But humanity had something the harvesters hadn't counted on: desperation coupled with creativity. Solutions came from unexpected places. A teenage girl in Mumbai proposed using quantum-locked metamaterials to contain the atmosphere. A retired engineer in Brazil suggested adapting geothermal vents into plasma conduits. A team of video game developers in Korea created the most efficient neural interface for planetary navigation. As the deadline approached, Sarah found herself in the newly constructed planetary command, deep beneath the Himalayas. The facility would serve as Earth's bridge once the conversion was complete. assuming it worked at all. Final system check complete. Rodriguez announced, now promoted to Commander of Internal Systems. All core installations are operational. Atmospheric shield is at 100% capacity. Weapon systems are primed. Dr. Okonjo, his hair now streaked with gray from months of endless work, nodded to Sarah. It's time, Admiral. We either make history today, or we become another civilization in the Harvester's collection. Sarah took a deep breath and opened a channel to all Earth's inhabitants, all now crucial crew members of humanity's greatest creation. This is Admiral Chen. Project Gaia is go. All personnel to battle stations. May whatever gods you believe in watch over us all. Above, the Harvester ships began moving into position for their ascension ritual. They had no idea they were about to face something unprecedented in their long history of consumption, a planet that could fight back. The lights dimmed across every city on Earth as power was diverted to the core engines. The ground trembled, and humanity prepared to take its first step into a larger universe, as either Project Gaia, the greatest engineering project in human history, began not with a bang, but with an earthquake. Core Drill Team 7 reporting critical failure. A voice crackled through the command center. Magma pressure exceeding safety parameters. We've lost contact with levels 30 through 35. Dr. Okonjo's hands flew across his holographic interface, redirecting power to the containment fields. Reroute cooling systems to Sector 7. We need those shafts stable before we can install the primary drive nodes. Admiral Chen watched as red warning indicators flashed across the global installation map. They were attempting something unprecedented. Drilling 27 massive shafts to Earth's core, each designed to house a quantum gravity drive capable of moving an entire planet. The engineering challenges were proving even more daunting than their initial calculations suggested. Time check. Sarah called out to the command staff. 53 days until Harvester activation sequence. Rodriguez responded promptly. Mars team reports 62% completion on their core installations. Venus project still struggling with the atmospheric processors. They were behind schedule. The Harvester's ships hung in orbit like crystalline sword of Damocles, their patience a constant reminder of humanity's deadline. Every day, more ships arrived, forming an ever-tightening net around the solar system. Dr. Okonjo had developed the gravity drives using principles reverse-engineered from studying the Harvester's own fold space technology. But theory and practice were proving to be very different beasts. The drives needed to be precisely aligned with Earth's magnetic field, or the entire planet would tear itself apart at the first activation. Dr. Okonjo. Sarah approached the physicist's station, keeping her voice low. We need to consider implementing Protocol Omega. The scientists' shoulders tensed. Protocol Omega was their last resort plan, converting Earth's core into a massive fusion bomb. If they couldn't escape the Harvesters, they'd at least deny them their prize. Not yet, he replied firmly. The latest simulations from the quantum computing array show a potential solution. We need to stop thinking of Earth as a rigid body. The planet's natural plate tectonics can work in our favor. He pulled up a new model showing Earth's major fault lines glowing with artificial neural pathways. We're not just building a ship, we're giving Earth a nervous system. The planetary AI can use seismic waves for precision adjustments, like a dancer maintaining balance. The concept was brilliant, but it meant rebuilding half their infrastructure from scratch. Time they didn't have. Then the breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Dr. Maya Patel, a marine biologist turned planetary systems engineer, made a crucial observation while watching her daughter's soccer game. We're approaching this wrong, she announced during the next Global Engineering Summit. We're trying to force the planet to move like a machine. But Earth isn't a machine. It's a living system. We need to work with its natural rhythms, not against them. Her team had developed a new approach based on biological principles. Instead of fighting the planet's molten core, they would use its convection currents to power the gravity drives. The neural pathways would follow the natural flow of Earth's magnetic field, like acupuncture points on a global scale. The redesign meant another week of round-the-clock work, but the results were immediate. Core shaft stability increased by 300%. Power efficiency jumped to unprecedented levels. But it wasn't just the technical challenges they faced. Moving Earth meant relocating billions of people into secure habitation zones. Coastal cities had to be abandoned as the planetary maneuvering would play havoc with the oceans. Underground arcologies sprouted like metal mushrooms across the continents, designed to protect the population during the coming space journey. New contact. The warning shattered the routine of another engineering day. Harvester scout ship approaching Mars installation. They're scanning the construction sites. Sarah felt her heart skip. If the harvesters discovered their true intentions now. But the alien ship merely observed for several hours before returning to the main fleet. Their arrogance was their weakness. They couldn't conceive of prey fighting back on this scale. 40 days before deadline, the core installations were complete. The planetary neural network hummed with power, connecting every major tectonic plate into a synchronized dance of geology and technology. Massive shield generators stood ready to protect the atmosphere once Earth began to move. Final system integration complete, Rodriguez announced. Planetary AI is online and responding to commands. All habitation zones report ready for lockdown. Dr. Okonjo looked up from his final calculations, meeting Sarah's gaze. We're as ready as we'll ever be. But Admiral, there's something you need to know. He pulled up the latest simulations. The first activation will be critical. The stress on the planetary structure will be enormous. If the harmonics aren't perfect, if any single system fails, Earth dies anyway. Sarah finished. At least this way we die on our own terms. The command center fell silent as the implications sank in. They had built the greatest weapon in human history, but its first test would also be their moment of truth. Sarah opened a channel to the global communication network. All personnel, this is Admiral Chen. Begin final countdown for Project Gaia activation. May God help us all. As humanity held its breath, deep beneath their feet, the greatest engine ever built began to power up. The Earth itself trembled in anticipation of its transformation from a simple planet into something unprecedented in the galaxy's history, a world that could fight back. The engineering miracle. Planetary shield generators at full power. Atmosphere containment field stable. Core temperature nominal. Commander Rodriguez's voice echoed through the command center. Each status report a testament to humanity's desperate innovation. All habitation zones report sealed and secure. Admiral Chen stood at the primary control interface, her hands hovering over the activation sequence. Around her, the best minds humanity had to offer monitored their respective systems. Dr. Okonjo hadn't slept in 3 days, surviving on synthetic caffeine and sheer determination as he fine-tuned the final calculations. Harvester fleet showing standard patrol patterns. Lieutenant Park reported from Tactical. No indication they've detected our preparations. Sarah took a deep breath. Begin primary drive sequence. Deep beneath the Earth's crust, 27 quantum gravity drives awakened simultaneously. The planetary neural network lit up like a Christmas tree. Seismic sensors reporting the cascade of energy flowing through the planet's natural fault lines. Power flow stable, Dr. Okonjo announced, his eyes fixed on the quantum harmonics display. Core resonance within predicted parameters. Beginning stage 2 initialization. The first tremors began, subtle at first, but growing steadily stronger. In the secured habitation zones, billions of humans felt their world literally shifting beneath their feet. The oceans churned as the planet's rotation began to alter subtly, adjusting to the new forces being generated at its core. Energy spike in the Harvester fleet. Park's warning cut through the tension. Multiple ships changing position. On the main display, the crystalline alien vessels were indeed moving, their formation shifting like a startled flock of birds. They had detected something, but didn't yet understand what. Too late to stop now, Sarah muttered. Proceed with Stage 3 activation. All systems to full power. The quantum drives reached critical synchronization. Earth's magnetic field began to pulse with artificial rhythm, transformed into a propulsion system on a scale never before attempted in the galaxy's history. Warning klaxons blared as the first major obstacle presented itself. Tectonic stress exceeding safety margins in the Pacific Plate. Rodriguez shouted, cascading failures in containment grid 7 through 12. Dr. Okonjo's fingers danced across his console, compensating, rerouting power through the secondary harmonic network. Maya, we need those biological buffers now. Dr. Patel's voice came through clear despite the chaos, initiating synaptic pulse through the geological network, converting seismic energy to controlled wavelengths. The command center shook violently as Earth herself groaned under the strain of forces she was never meant to endure. Warning indicators flashed red across every display as the planet's systems approached their breaking point. Sir, Park's voice cracked with urgency. Harvester fleet is moving into attack formation. They know. Through the tactical display, Sarah watched as hundreds of alien vessels began to power up their weapons. They had finally realized their prey wasn't going quietly to slaughter. All or nothing, she declared. Dr. Okonjo, take us to full power. Commander Rodriguez, divert all remaining energy to the shield grid. Dr. Patel, your system has to hold. The next few moments would be etched into human history forever, if they survived to record it. The quantum drives reached maximum output, their energy merging with Earth's natural geomagnetic field. The planetary neural network blazed with power as it coordinated the most complex engineering feat ever attempted. And then something extraordinary happened. Earth moved. Not in its usual orbital dance around the sun, but sideways through space itself. The massive gravity drives warped space-time around the entire planet, creating a bubble of altered physics that allowed the impossible to become reality. The first harvester energy beams struck Earth's shields and dissipated harmlessly. The aliens had never encountered defensive technology on this scale. How could they? No species had ever been desperate or ambitious enough to convert an entire planet into a battleship. All systems operational, Rodriguez announced, his voice filled with disbelief and joy. Planetary maneuverability at 60% efficiency and climbing. Shield integrity holding at 82%. Dr. Okonjo laughed, tears streaming down his face. It works. By all that's holy, it actually works. But Sarah knew this was just the beginning. Tactical. Give me weapons status. Dr. Patel, begin power-up sequence for the magnetic pulse cannons. Let's show our friends what an armed planet can do. The harvester fleet was regrouping, their initial surprise giving way to coordinated attack patterns. But their tactics were designed for fighting ships, not worlds. Earth's first counterattack would demonstrate just how much humanity had changed the rules of engagement. Magnetic pulse cannons charge, Dr. Puddle reported. Targeting solutions locked on primary harvester vessels. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Fire. Earth's magnetic field, already transformed into a propulsion system, now became a weapon. Concentrated pulses of magnetic energy, each powered by the planet's rotating core, lanced out toward the alien fleet. The first shots struck 3 harvester vessels, their crystalline structures shattering under forces they were never designed to withstand. The battle for Earth's survival had begun, and humanity had just proven they weren't going down without the fight of the millennium. Test flight. The harvester fleet's response was immediate and devastating. Thousands of energy beams converged on Earth's shields, creating auroras of destructive power visible even through the protective habitation zones. But humanity had spent months preparing for this moment. Shield grid holding at 76%, Commander Rodriguez reported, his voice steady despite the spectacular light show visible on every monitor. Atmospheric containment stable. Core drive temperature nominal. Admiral Chen watched as the tactical display updated with new threat assessments. The harvester ships were adapting their attack patterns, trying to find weaknesses in Earth's defenses, but they weren't the only ones who could adapt. Dr. Patel, initiate gravitational lensing. Sarah ordered. Let's show them what else we've learned from studying their technology. Maya's team had discovered that the quantum gravity drives could do more than just move the planet. By carefully manipulating gravitational fields, they could bend space itself around Earth, creating unpredictable effects that the harvesters had never encountered. The first gravitational lens activated, and several harvester beams curved away from their targets, some even striking their own ships. The alien fleet scattered, their perfect formation breaking apart as they tried to compensate for the new defense. Signal from Mars base. Lieutenant Park's announcement drew everyone's attention. They've completed their final installations. Planet ship Mars is ready for activation. This was the moment they'd been waiting for. The harvesters had concentrated their forces around Earth, leaving only a token presence near Mars. They were about to learn the cost of that mistake. Send the activation codes, Sarah commanded. Dr. Okonjo, begin synchronized movement calculations. The red planet trembled as its own gravity drives came online. Unlike Earth, Mars had been engineered from the start as a weapons platform, its smaller mass making it more maneuverable. Its surface bristled with magnetic accelerators and gravity pulse cannons, all powered by an artificial core installed during the frantic months of preparation. Mars drives at full power, Dr. Okonjo confirmed, beginning coordinated movement pattern Delta. Earth and Mars began to move in concert, their gravitational fields creating a complex web of distorted spacetime. The harvester fleet found itself caught between two mobile planets, their usual tactics rendered useless by the unprecedented scale of their opponents. Multiple harvester ships attempting emergency fold space jumps, Park reported. Their formation is breaking down. But the aliens weren't finished. From the edges of the solar system, new ships appeared, massive constructs that dwarfed even their standard vessels. Harvester reinforcements, Sarah grimaced. They've called in their heavy weapons. The new vessels unleashed weapons that cut through space itself, creating temporary rifts in reality. Earth's shields flared as they struggled to compensate for attacks that bent the laws of physics. Shield grid failing in sectors 3 through 7. Rodriguez's calm finally cracked. We're losing atmospheric containment. Dr. Patel's voice cut through the chaos, rerouting power through the biological buffers. The planet's magnetic field is adapting to the attack patterns, just like an immune system response. She was right. The planetary neural network was learning, adjusting its defenses in real time. Each attack that didn't destroy them made Earth's shields stronger, more resilient. Venus team reporting ready, Park shouted. All installations complete. Sarah allowed herself a fierce grin. Perfect timing. Dr. Okonjo, initialize the triangle defense formation. Let's show them why humanity chose to weaponize not one, but 3 planets. Venus erupted into motion, its massive form breaking free of its orbit. Its surface, already hell-like, had been transformed into an arsenal of plasma weapons powered by the planet's extreme temperatures. The harvester fleet now faced 3 mobile planets working in perfect coordination. Triangle formation established, Dr. Okonjo confirmed. Gravitational resonance at maximum efficiency, ready to initiate the slingshot protocol. The slingshot protocol was their most ambitious weapon, using the combined gravitational fields of 3 planets to create a space-time singularity. It was theoretically capable of crushing entire fleets, but they'd never dared test it at full power. Multiple new contacts. Park's warning carried a note of fear. Harvester super dreadnoughts entering the system. At least 30 ships, each one larger than anything we've encountered before. Sarah squared her shoulders. Then there'll be bigger targets. All planets prepare for synchronized fire. Slingshot protocol on my mark. As the massive alien ships approached, humanity prepared to make its final stand. 3 weaponized planets against the most powerful fleet in known space. The fate of not just Earth, but human civilization itself hung in the balance. All planets report ready. Rodriguez announced. Admiral Chen took a deep breath. Initiate slingshot protocol. Let's make history. Guardians of the Galaxy. The slingshot protocol began with a whisper of gravitational waves. 3 planets, moving in perfect synchronization, their quantum drives harmonizing at frequencies that made space itself shudder. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then reality cracked. Gravitational singularity forming. Dr. Okonjo's voice held equal parts terror and awe. Field strength exceeding all projections. Between Earth, Mars, and Venus, space began to fold in on itself. The combined gravitational forces of 3 weaponized planets created something unprecedented. A controlled black hole, held in check by the precise dance of planetary engines. The Harvester super-dreadnoughts fired everything they had, their weapons cutting swaths through space. But their energy beams curved toward the singularity, drawn in by forces beyond even their advanced technology. First wave of enemy ships caught in gravitational pull, Park reported, his tactical display showing Harvester vessels being dragged inexorably toward their doom. They're trying to execute emergency fold space jumps failing. Dr. Patel's eyes were fixed on her readings. The singularity is interfering with their drive systems. They can't escape. Sarah watched as the first super-dreadnought was torn apart by gravitational forces, its crystalline structure shattering into a billion glittering shards. But victory came with a price. Core temperature critical on all 3 planets. Rodriguez's warning cut through the celebration. The gravitational stress is exceeding safety parameters. We can't maintain the singularity. We don't need to, Sarah replied calmly. Look, the remaining Harvester ships were retreating, their perfect formation abandoned in favor of desperate survival. For the first time in their long history of conquest, they had encountered prey that could not only fight back but win. Deactivating slingshot protocol, Dr. Okonjo announced. The singularity collapsed, leaving behind a graveyard of shattered Harvester ships, all planetary systems returning to normal parameters. The command center erupted in cheers, but Sarah knew their work wasn't finished. Open a channel to the remaining Harvester fleet. The alien commander that appeared on screen was nothing like they had expected. Not a warrior, but a being of pure energy contained within a crystalline matrix. Its voice translated as a series of harmonics that made the air vibrate. You have achieved the impossible, it said. Never in our history has a species transformed their worlds into weapons. We believed planetary civilizations were prey by definition, bound by their dependence on their worlds. We didn't transform our planets into weapons, Sarah replied. We transformed them into shields. Humanity doesn't seek conquest. We seek survival. Remember that before you or any other species threatens Earth again. The Harvester commander was silent for a long moment. We will remember, and we will spread word of what we found here. The species that moved worlds. The humans who turned planets into starships. As the remaining Harvester ships vanished into fold space, humanity faced a new reality. They had not only survived, they had revolutionized warfare on a galactic scale. 1 month later, Sarah stood in the new Planetary Defense Council chamber, addressing representatives from every nation on Earth. The Harvester's retreat has given us breathing room, but we can't become complacent, she explained. Other species will come, either to test our strength or seek our protection. We need to be ready. Dr. Okonjo stepped forward, his holographic displays showing new designs. We've already begun upgrading our planetary drive systems. The next generation of gravity engines will be more efficient, more powerful. And we've identified other planets in nearby systems that could be converted if needed. But our greatest achievement isn't technological, Dr. Patil added. We've proven that humanity's greatest strength is our ability to unite in the face of extinction, to turn our very worlds into fortresses not just for ourselves, but for any species that needs protection. Sarah nodded. The galaxy is changing. The age of prey and predator is ending. In its place, we'll build something new, a coalition of worlds, protected by the species that learned to sail the stars on planets themselves. As if to emphasize her words, Earth's gravity drives hummed to life, and humanity's home began another patrol of their solar system. Above, Mars and Venus moved in formation, their surfaces gleaming with weapons that would never again be underestimated. The planet ships had transformed humanity from prey into protectors. And somewhere out in the vast darkness between the stars, other civilizations looked toward Sol with hope, knowing that when the predators came, they would find not just one world that could fight back, but an entire system of armed planets, crewed by a species that had rewritten the rules of space warfare. Humanity had done more than survive. They had become legends. The end.